Hello! In today's video, I'm going to be testing 6 different tights brands to see which ones hold up the best. I'm also going to discuss price, fit, and the opacity or the sheerness of the tights, because when I'm looking for tights, I want them to be pretty sheer. It's easy to get a pair of tights that don't rip if they're very opaque, like you can't see through them very easily, but the sheerer you get, the more delicate they become, so it's harder to find a pair. A little background for the reasoning behind this is that tights use a measurement system called a denier, I think is how it's pronounced, and it's kind of like a thread count for the opacity or the sheerness of the tights, and so as it goes down, the tights become more thin and more sheer. So for this video, all the tights that I bought new to try, I decided on getting a 30 denier because I thought it would be a good compromise between sheerness and durability. But if you watch the full video, you'll see I do test a pair at 20 and 40 denier just to compare. I became interested in this topic nearly 2 years ago now when I got my first full-time job, and I realized that the pants that I was wearing to work were really uncomfortable to sit at a desk for like 8 hours because they were tight around my hips or digging into my tummy. And yes, I did end up getting a couple more comfortable pairs, but I also started wearing a lot of skirts because they had more flexibility and ease of movement around the like hip and thigh area. What I was doing basically is when I left the subway, I would go to the drugstore and get a pair of sheer tights and then wear them the next day and they would rip, and then I would buy another pair, and I was buying a pair like nearly every day. And so I thought to myself, this has to stop. So I started looking into what brands were more durable, and the obvious answer was of course Sheertex. I'd known about Sheertex for a long time, but initially when they first started being sold, they were like $100. But around that time was when, I don't know if you guys noticed this too, they were basically perpetually on sale. So I decided to jump on it, and so about a year and a half ago, I got my first pair of Sheertex. After that, I also got at the drugstore a pair of no-nonsense tights that actually held up pretty well, and then I looked online and people had recommended Swedish Stockings, so I got a pair of Swedish Stockings as well. And with those 3, that's when my mind started working, and I was like, I should really test a bunch of pairs against each other and see which is really the most comfortable and the strongest and the sheerest. At the time, those were actually the most sheer tights that Sheertex had. They had come out with an even sheerer one, but they had sold out, and I waited a little while, but they never came back in stock. So besides the Sheertex, the No Nonsense, and the Swedish Stockings, I decided to go online and look for a couple more brands so that I could really get a range and test which ones are the best. Okay, so I'm gonna go on my laptop and start looking for brands of tights that other people recommend and see which ones I should get in addition. We have some options here. A 2-pack for $25 or a 3-pack for $15. Okay, anyway, I think I am making my pick. So I think I'm gonna get Snag, and then I'll get the Calzedonias and the Falke. So that's 6 different brands. I'd love to try more. My budget kind of ran thin. But let me know in the comments if there's any brands you like that you'd like to see me try. So, good morning. I'm such a mess in the mornings, but I'm going to try and do this. Today I'm going to do the Sheertex tights. So the story with the Sheertex is that I got them, well actually it would be nearly 2 years ago, and then I think they did rip on the toe. I feel like I caught a nail or something, like in a wood floor, about a month or 2 in, but Sheertex has, if I recall correctly, a 90-day warranty. So I emailed them with some pictures and they just sent me another pair for free. I'm gonna put them on and show you how they are with a pair of shorts, and then I'll put my skirt on so you can see. You know they're Sheertex because they have this green and they have this thick like reinforced seam here. I still have my long nails so I guess it's a pretty good test. Okay, so here they are with a little pair of shorts.
I'm pretty much okay with how sheer they are. I guess they could be a little bit more sheer, but they've gotten me good use. I'm happy with this, but I guess if some of the tights I get in this experiment are more sheer, I'll be pretty satisfied with that. Okay, I have to leave like right now for work, but here is the final outfit. You may disagree with my shoe choice. So yeah, you'll come with me all day and I'll keep you updated on how the tights are doing. Instead of filming when I get home, I figured I'd just use the last bit of sunlight to say that the tights have survived the day at work and hopefully they survive the ride home. I had figured they would since they have lasted about a year so far, but I left space for the possibility that the moment I start filming to test them that they would rip, but they've done well so far. They're not too tight, they're very comfortable. I guess the only issue is I had to cross the street. Cars are stressing me out. I guess the main issue would just be the thing about the opacity. Sometimes they look very sheer, but sometimes they don't really. It kind of depends on the light, and so that's just my main issue with them. Today we're gonna be doing no nonsense. They are actually my last drugstore purchase and they had pleasantly surprised me, so I still have them. I think I only wore them once or twice. These ones took me a little longer to put on, I think because of the control top part of it. I do kind of like a little bit of smoothing, it's nice, but when I was buying all of these I actually avoided trying to get that because it can be really annoying and a little bit uncomfortable. The texture of these is, I would say, smoother than the Sheertex, and they are a little bit more sheer, I think, as well. The Sheertex has like a very special fabric or thread or whatever that makes it feel really like tough too. It's really tough. You could see a tiny little run. I think that's okay, but anything like bigger or longer, I'm gonna consider like really ripped. The way they're a size B and they like barely pulled up all the way, and I'm only like 5'4", and now I'm like snatched up, like it's digging in. Okay, here's kind of the outfit for the day. Okay, I'm on my way to work right now. It's cold out. I often rip my tights doing this. Tights. You can see so much more through these tights. You can see my ashiness, my everything. Now that I've eaten, it's starting to really dig in a bit. It's dark outside at 5 p.m. But anyway, the tights held up all day. In summary, the control top started to drive me crazy by the end. I think the control top does make it a little more durable up at the top, but also makes it harder to put on, so maybe that causes rips, I don't know. They definitely have a nice feel. They're soft and quite sheer. Hello, good morning. Today's a big day. We're going to try a pair of tights that I ordered specifically for this video. So I'm gonna do the Snag tights. Hello, Snagler. Officially, tights should be hand washed, but we find they do great in the washing machine. Just make sure they're in a pillowcase or lingerie bag so they don't get caught in the drum. As you can see, I got sheer AB licorice. They look tiny. They feel really strong. Yeah, so they feel really good. They don't feel too tight up here with the control top part. I don't know if I even got control top. Pretty good sheer and stretchy. I like these. Okay, y'all, I'm dressed. Here's the fit. Nice and sheer. Smooth. They kind of have like a little gap back here, but that's fine.
hardly said a word, but I think they've been so comfortable. I'm kind of loving them. They're a little like darker than maybe they seem on the camera. Day's done and I'm finally gonna take these off. I have to say they've been really comfortable and I didn't feel like I was gonna poke a hole in them at all. So definitely at the top so far because they were comfy, they were soft and pretty sheer too, and feel really durable as well. I feel like I didn't film as much today. I think it's also because I just basically forgot they were on, which I think is nice. Like, I wasn't really thinking about it. And I was really liking their selection or their marketing. And their prices, actually, they were pretty good. I got multiple pairs. So, okay, let's open them. I got 3 pairs. I think they were having a sale. Here they are. I know I mentioned that when I got the Calzedonia ones, I got the 30 denier and I got a 20 denier and I got a 40 denier in a chocolate color. Here are the 20. They're definitely my most sheer pair of tights. A little like of a mid-rise almost. It's like reinforced through the seam here. They're not like soft. They do have like more of the Sheertex feel where they feel a little bit like plasticky. But if that means that they're stronger, I don't care. These are the 40 deniers, color nude 11. So let's try these. They seem pretty sheer, honestly. Despite being the 30 denier, they're pretty sheer, I have to say, but they have a good like color to them. I think it's good. They're perfect. These are the brown tights. They've been very comfortable today. I like them. I don't know why I don't wear brown tights more. They give like ultra sheer type of effect even if they're not that sheer.
This is party goes on.
I think they're really nice. They're soft, like the Snag tights. They might be a little bit smaller, a little tighter up here. So they're not as tight as the No Nonsense. I can't remember how high the Snag tights went up, but these ones are like a little more low actually. I feel like I'm used to tights coming like all the way up, but they're more down here. Yeah, they're a little bit tighter, but they're really soft. I like them, so we'll see how they hold up. I've been a little swamped at work today, so I keep realizing like, oh my god, I didn't shoot anything about these tights. They're pretty comfortable. I will say they are a little tighter on the waistband, but not like too bad. It's like a little uncomfortable. Other than that though, they have felt pretty strong and smooth, which I like compared to the Sheertex. I don't know, I mean, it should all be the same opacity because it's all the same denier, but I do feel like these are less transparent, more opaque than the Snag ones. But I don't know, because on the camera it doesn't look like that. On the camera it looks pretty sheer. I'm here today with a funny story. No, it's not funny.
It's serious.
So the story is that, so when I first started this journey, after I got the Sheertex, I was like, let me try and find another place with cheaper tights or that are more sheer. So I was looking up strongest sheer tights, and a lot of people at that time when I was looking, which I guess I didn't look very hard, they were all saying Swedish Stockings. So I got a pair and I put them on. I admit either it was their size chart or me, but I think they were a little small, but they ripped on the first wear. But they have a warranty. So I had done this with my Sheertex the first time. So I reached out to them and I was like, they ripped, can I get a new pair? And they said, yes, just send us the pair that ripped
and we'll send you a new pair. But it turns out they don't cover the shipping to send it back to them, and they're in Sweden. So it cost me $30 more to send them back to get a new pair just so I could film this. It was ridiculous. That was crazy to me. Anyway, here they are. The package that they sent the new pair in. That's my own handwriting. Did they just put a new pair in the box I sent them? Sustainability minded. Dude. This is literally the pair that I sent them. And now it's like a year later and I'm emailing like, I just opened up the pair of tights you sent me and they're wrong. What? I actually realized what happened. It got bounced back. They sent it back to me. Like the mail, I guess, because whatever address they gave me, it didn't work. I actually emailed them, and even though it's been a long time, about a year, they did refund me for the tights. They couldn't refund me the shipping, and they gave me a 30% off coupon, which I'm not sure I want to use. Just for good measure, I'll show you the tights. They are not the softest tights, but they did feel like they were pretty solid, pretty strong, almost like the Sheertex ones. The rip is right here. They have like a bit of a control top up here, which is actually really soft. It's like, it feels like almost like a bit of a knit, and it's like ribbed, so it's pretty comfortable compared to some of the other ones. I remember them feeling tighter than they feel now. I don't think my weight has changed at all, but I know they're still wearable, but I just really hate wearing ripped tights. I don't know, it's like a sensory thing. Like, I've never been good with it. It stresses me out. So to recap, the tights we've tried so far, we have Sheertex, No Nonsense, Snag, Calzedonia, and Swedish Stockings. The last one that I got was the Falke ones. So let's open those now. So this is what they look like. Falke Matte Deluxe 30. Goodness. Oh, whoa, look, you could see like, I feel like they have like a specific, like designated foot. And then I feel like they're longer than the other ones, which we'll see how that goes. I think that's fine. A lot of the other ones I've been like hiking up. And I feel like I'm gonna rip them when that happens. It's tough when you're looking at the sizing chart because it'll give your weight and a height, and it like when the height goes up, the weight goes up. So I'm like, oh, I don't want it, like maybe I want it to be a little taller, but I don't want it to be like too big. I'm not that tall, but somehow all of these like max out at like 5'4", I guess. I don't know. Oof. First putting them on. It's tight, it's tight. I was wrong, by the way. I think even if they seemed longer, they're not really functioning as if they're that much longer, and I'm still hiking them up. Okay, here they are. In terms of softness, they feel like a cross between the more plasticky Sheertex and the softer Snag ones. Let me know if you guys agree. I know like the denier is kind of like standard, even though I feel like some of them are more or less sheer even at the same denier. But it's weird when I put on the 20 denier and this is the 30, this one feels like so opaque and the other one feels so sheer, and it's like, isn't there something in between? Like, it just feels like such a big jump. So funny story is, I actually started editing the video a little bit and I realized that I never actually wore the Falke tights. So today I'm wearing them for the first time. So the other issue is I was trying to figure out, like, I mean, how many times do I wear them before I just like call it a day? So I'm not sure, but I'm like turbo driving. I have to wear skirts every day now. Always testing a pair of tights at all times. What's funny is while I was editing, I rewatched what I said, my first impressions about these tights, and I remember being like, oh, they're really long, and then saying like I was wrong that they were hard to pull up. And I feel like I've noticed that even more throughout the day today, that they're like constantly falling down and they're just not staying up at all. Like they're not even really getting up to like all the way up, and I hate that feeling. The material feels like pretty strong. I had also said that it feels a little bit similar to the Sheertex, like not as soft. But I think it makes it a little less stretchy too.
So the good news is all 6 pairs survived their first day, which is better than some of the drugstore brands that I was trying back in New York. But the real test is how long they'll last now. It's finally happened. I was putting on the no nonsense tights and they were on already, but I'm just standing here and I was getting my earrings. And then I felt something and it got a pull on the back just by standing. I don't remember doing it. I could have. Maybe it was my fault, but I didn't like them because they were too tight, but I did like how sheer they were, so they will be missed. Y'all, it's happened. I was about ready to call the experiment a day, say they all tied, because I rushed out. And I usually wear socks with these clogs, but of course I didn't. I rushed out and then my feet are like slipping and sliding in them, digging my toes in, and you know, then I get to work. I'm like, let me take this fucking shoe off. And of course, so these are the Snag tights. And I really like the Snag ones too. So this is such a shame. These are the Calzedonia tights. And I might just call it, I guess. I'll probably still wear them. Like, they're not ripped so that I wouldn't wear them, but I would consider this a rip. So you wouldn't believe it, but it has been almost a year, if not a year, since I started filming that video. And I just got super busy over the summer and then I couldn't finish it. But what I did realize is I was kind of puzzling over, well, how do I decide when the trial is over? And the obvious answer was it got warm and I stopped wearing tights. And so the trial just ended. But we do have results and we have a microphone. Yay. The results of the tights durability challenge. We have in first place Falke, which I wore 8 times and they did not rip. Then we have Sheertex, which probably would have tied for first, but I guess I just didn't get around to wearing them an 8th time. I wore them 7 times. No rips. Then we get the ones that ripped. We have Calzedonia, the 30 denier. They ripped after 7 wears. We have Snag, who ripped after 6 wears. We have No Nonsense, which I know I started the trial a little bit later for them, but I wore them 2 times during the trial before they ripped. Honorable mentions are the Calzedonia 20 denier, which I wore 1 time and they ripped. The Calzedonia Brown 40 denier, which I wore 2 times. They did not rip. I just didn't wear them anymore because I was focusing on the other ones. I really like those, by the way. The Swedish Stockings that ripped like the first time I wore them or second time, but I couldn't try them for this, as you've just seen. Now, looking back, the cost of them. So all of these, this is not including shipping. For the No Nonsense ones, I actually got them in person, so there was no shipping. Sheertex cost me $40 when I first got them. The No Nonsense probably cost me around $10. The Snag cost me $16. The Calzedonia cost me $15, but the 20 denier and the 40 denier actually cost $10. It's the 30 denier that cost me $15. The Falke cost me $45, and the Swedish Stockings cost $40. So, looking back on the trial, I would say I think the Calzedonias definitely were my favorite to wear, and they are a good price, but they did rip. And then between the Falke and the Sheertex, I mean, the Falke were more sheer and they seemed pretty durable. They did last as long as the Sheertex did, but I did have the Sheertex a year longer year prior to the Falke, so I can't exactly say that they're just as durable, but they did last for a while. And so it kind of depends what you want. If you prefer a more sheer tight, you might want to go with the Falke since they're around the similar price point, like $40. Then the Snag, I actually really liked the Snag too, and they were pretty cheap too. But looking back like on the hard data, although I mean Snag 6 wears, Calzedonia 7 wears, I mean I think overall I would say size up. If they're too tight, they're gonna rip faster, and so just like size up a little bit. You don't want them to be like falling down, but then the issue is that a lot of them are quite short, or if they're too small, they're going to be falling down anyway because they're not like long enough, stretchy enough to like stay up. Read the size chart and then take it with a grain of salt, and read the reviews. Go from there. Don't try and do vanity sizing. Decide what your goals are and what your needs are for the tights. If you want to wear them for like fancy occasions, or you really want a control top, then go for that. But if you're thinking that this is going to be everyday wear and you're like me and the control tops kind of end up making them more uncomfortable, then that should be something you're really thinking about, how much control and how tight it is at the top and on the legs as well. And besides like that, just how sheer you want it. If you'd rather it just last, of course less sheer will be better. I think a 30 denier is a very good medium, but let me know if you'd like to see me try any other brands or any other deniers. This was an enormous project for me, I will admit. Since most of my tights ripped, I do have to rebuy some. So which ones would I rebuy? I mean, the thing about rebuying as well is just like, it is costly. So maybe I would go and get a Calzedonia or a Snag, because it does feel like a Sheertex or a Falke is like more of an investment on something that is, in a way, so disposable. These things rip constantly, they're always at risk. So that is the end of my video where I try all different tights brands to see which ones are the most durable. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to be posting more videos soon. I'm trying to upgrade my situation. I moved, I have a little bit more natural light. I just got some microphones and I'm really working on this. I do keep getting busy, but I love to do this, and I'm hoping that maybe if people like this, it will give me a boost of motivation to keep going. But either way, I will be here and you'll see more of me, and thank you for watching.